Tonight, we recognize the notable achievements of 4 extraordinary alumni who have distinguished themselves through their leadership and service. Len Willey, class of 1955, Jackie McMullen Boyle, class of 1982, Peter T. Paul, class of 1967, and Governor John Lynch, class of 1974. Len, Jackie, Peter, Governor Lynch, thank you for the opportunity to celebrate your achievements. And thank you to the committee members who volunteered their time to make these awards possible. We've got a great evening planned. Now I'd like to introduce Len Willey, class of 55, the recipient of the Alumni Meritorious Service Award, given for faithful and continued effort in maintaining class or other alumni organizations. And that certainly describes Len, a career pilot and former UNH basketball player who met Penny, his wife of 62 years, during their freshman year. Len's job took them out of New Hampshire, but they returned in 2000, and Len was soon back involved with his alma mater, serving on the class of 1955 Reunion Steering Committee, the Alumni Association Facilities Management Committee, and the Alumni and Athletic Department's Joint Committee. Len also served 2 terms on the Alumni Association Board of Directors. And he's a founding member of the Friends of Men's Basketball and a regular volunteer at their annual golf tournament. A few years ago, Len was volunteering at a senior class event when he met a young woman who was very emotional about commencement. And she said to him that she didn't want to leave UNH. And Len said quite simply, "You never have to." You're right, Len. UNH stays with us for a lifetime. Please welcome Len Willey.
Okay. Wow, this is some night for me and for my family and friends that are here tonight. I'd like to say thanks, first of all. Seeing she read most of the things that happened 66 years ago, coming here as a freshman, enjoying a quality education, more than a good time, meeting lifelong friends, ex-classmates, teammates, and first of all, as she mentioned, my first and only mate, my wife Penny, sitting down here. After that, 4 years later, here comes graduation, marriage, raising a family, enjoying a career, and then retirement. Retirement meant back to where we liked, right here, UNH. And since then, it became so easy to want to reconnect here. Mainly because you drive through, you'd see this fantastic growth of this campus, the new buildings, the rebuilt buildings, the highly acclaimed academic and research programs, all that have been occurring under the watch of our president, Mark Huddleston. I think that's been great, and I'd like to say tonight on my behalf, Mark, thank you very much. We're going to miss you. But we won't forget you. And being a sports junkie, I have to tell you, the new and improved athletic facilities are great, in my estimation. It's enabled us, under the leadership of Marty Scarano and his hard-working administrative and coaching staffs, have enabled UNH to be able to recruit excellent student athletes. And I'm going to underline the word student. These nice young men and women not only choose to come here and play here, but more importantly, they stay here and graduate from here. And that's an envy to many other schools in this country. So in closing, I'd like to say thanks to everybody. This has been great. To the Alumni Association, getting this award means a lot. And I'd like to also, he's not here tonight, but a real good friend, Paul Bamford, who's a great spokesman for this university. he's just great. I wish he were here, and I'd just like to say thanks to him. I could go around and talk to everybody, but this is homecoming weekend. So I say, let's go Wildcats. Thank you.
You did great, Len.
Oh, I gotta stay here. Pardon me? Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Yep,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you, Len. On to our next award. The Award of Excellence for Outstanding Achievement honors a UNH graduate for significant accomplishments in business or professional life, or for public service to their community, state, or nation. That description could have been written with Jackie McMullen Boyle, class of 1982, in mind. Now a nationally recognized, award-winning sports broadcaster, columnist, and author, Jackie was among the first women sports writers when she started at the Boston Globe in 1982. It was a time when women were just starting to follow their male counterparts into the locker rooms to conduct interviews. On many occasions, Jackie was the only female journalist in the room, and that was after fighting to stay when the officials suggested she didn't belong. But Jackie persisted, and in 2010, she became the first woman to receive the Kurt Gowdy Media Award in its 21-year history. Jackie's passion for covering sports began early, when she was 15 and frustrated by the lack of coverage of girls' sports by her hometown paper. At the urging of her father, she contacted the paper and ended up with her own column, writing about exceptional girl athletes. That column served as the foundation for a prolific career that's seen her cover such well-known athletes as Teddy Bruschi, Patrick Ewing, Charles Barkley, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird. She wrote 2 books with Larry Bird, including When the Game Was Ours, a collaboration with Magic Johnson that became a New York Times bestseller. Jackie was an athlete in her own right, playing basketball at UNH. She was inducted into the UNH Hall of Fame in 2000. She is also the recipient of the Associated Press Sports Editors Award for investigative reporting, the Tufts University Distinguished Achievement Award, the New England Women's Leadership Award, and the New Fund Hall of Fame. Please join me in welcoming Jackie McMullen Boyle.
Thank you. I need glasses. Sorry about that. I can't thank everybody enough for this wonderful recognition, and I'm just amazed to be part of a program that includes so many incredibly distinguished alumni. I had a chance to, Len, where are you? I had a chance to speak with Len earlier this evening. It was a pleasure, so I'm truly honored to be sharing the stage with such great people. So a few months ago, my son Douglas, who's here, he's in the Peter Paul School of Business, so thank you, Peter Paul, wherever you are, for giving him that great opportunity. And he said to me, hey, Mom, how would your life have been different if you went somewhere else besides UNH? And so I have a confession. UNH was not my first choice. I was recruited very heavily by Brown University to play basketball there. And they kept sending me letters, we hope you choose Brown. And I said, I choose Brown, are we all set? And they said, you're good. And then the day came and I got the thin letter and not the thick one. And pretty devastating for a 17-year-old. And a few weeks later, they fired the basketball coach. So that explained why I didn't get in. So why, now where am I gonna go? So I get into Syracuse University, one of the greatest journalism schools in the country. And I wanna be a journalist. But I don't go to Syracuse. I come here instead. And at the time, I didn't even really know why. There was just something about this place that gave me a feeling that I didn't get at Syracuse for whatever reason. My poor father was a Syracuse alum. My sister was going there. They never said a word, God bless them, but I know they were thinking, what the hell is she doing? So why did I come here? You know, was it the basketball? So I wasn't a walk-on here. I was a crawl-on here. I had only played high school basketball a couple years. It's amazing to me still that I was able to play with the wonderful teammates that I had. So many of them are here, and I'd like them all to stand up if they could, please. Denise Higgins, Kelly Butterfield, Teresa Redmond, and Patty Foster. Thank you. Thank you guys for being here. So I can't tell you the score of any games. I really don't know what our record was. I'd like to forget most of my own stats. But what I remember is singing California Dreamin' in the shower with my teammates. I remember to go in Quebec City. Patty, remember we bought the words to Feelings in French and walked down the street singing it. I remember going to a tournament in Queens. You guys remember this? We had to leave in the middle of the night because there were mice in our hotel room. But Teresa, I can remember you on that bed, and they weren't mice, were they? They were rats. They were rats. They were rats. So I don't know, maybe it was the basketball, maybe it was the academics. When I got here in 1978, there was no journalism major here at UNH, but there was Don Murray, who looked like Santa Claus. You saw his picture up there. He was an amazing professor. My first day of intro to news writing, the class was from 10 till noon. I got there at 10. He explained the class and said, now all of you go out, find a story, come back and write it, and it better be done by noon, because that's what it's like to be on deadline. I'm wandering around this campus. I've been here 3 days. I'm stumbling around. I end up in the dining hall because I'm hungry. And I said, all right, I'll do a story on whether the food service is good here. So I did a survey of the kids in the food service halls, and guess what? Thumbs up for the food service. I went back. I started typing. Now remember, people, I'm kind of old. We're talking typewriters, not laptops. Typing. At noon, Don Murray went around and pulled out every single one of our stories. And if you weren't done, too bad, because that's what it was like to be on deadline. What a great honor to be in a class with a man like that. The other teacher later on was Andy Merton. He took a magazine class with him. He wanted us to write the perfect magazine story. I spent all semester with no exclamation mark under my stories. Too many quotes, show, not tell. I'm like, all right, this guy's really getting on my nerves. But I thank Andy every time I see him now because he taught me how to be a great writer. And we learned that also at the New Hampshire, the school paper, which I worked at for many years. I was at a party on Young Drive one night. I know, my goodness, can we talk about that? So Doug took us down there, it's abandoned. I'm waiting for Jack Nicholson to come out and say, here's Johnny. I mean, it's creepy down there. I hope there's something planned for that. Am I right? What's going on with Young Drive? But anyway, I digress. So I'm at Young Drive, and I'm playing Nerf ball with this guy who I'm pretty sure was from the New Hampshire. His name was Todd Balfe. He's here tonight. He's a terrific writer. Todd, can you say hello? And he's one of the great writers of our generation. I mean, he writes beautiful books, nonfiction, he writes great stuff. And he was smart enough to marry one of the best editors I've ever seen, his wife, Patty Adams, who also started here at Eames. There's Patty Adams there, too. So maybe it was at the academics. You know, I really just think it was the relationships, right? Because isn't that why, that's what builds our lives. So relationships are everything to me. And so one day, I somehow get talking to this sort of outspoken, opinionated, wonderful guy named Bob Slane from Worcester, Mass. And through him, I met a wonderful girl named Patty Grant, and then later his beautiful wife, Deb Coolers. They're both here too, UNH grads. But then I also met this guy from Sawyer Hall. He was so quiet, really interesting. And he's been my husband of 30 plus years. Michael Boyle is also here tonight. So the relationships, I think, are what really counts. So Michael and I, we've built our life on relationships. My mother and father here, Fred and Margareta from Florida. My sister Sue, who people usually mistake us. We look a lot alike. I hope you can't tell, but I'm covered from head to toe in poison ivy. I used a lot of makeup, and she said, well, I hope no one thinks I look like you tonight. But I have some other friends here. I have some great family here. My brother-in-law Kevin's here. My niece Emily's here. Jane and Janice McEwen, Jane Smith, we grew up together. We're going to grow old together. And then someone that I met more recently in my life, Mona Ewing, who's become part of my family. She is part of my family. So Doug, what if I went to Brown? What if I went to Syracuse? There's no Karen Bolton. There's no Todd and Patty. There's no Don Murray. There's no Bob and Deb. And by the way, there's no Dad. And you know what? If there's no Dad, there's no you, and there's no Allie either. And I don't even want to think about that. So I said there was something special about this place, different about this place, and it's the people. And I can't imagine have gone anyplace else but here. This is where I belong, and thank you, UNH, for having me. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
That was fantastic. Okay, well, we are going to take a 15-minute dessert break, and then we'll be back. Enjoy. So welcome back. Tonight, we not only recognize the incredible accomplishments and generosity of our distinguished alumni, but we do want to take a moment, and Len kind of beat me to the punch, but we do want to take a moment to pay tribute to President Mark Huddleston for his inspirational and transformational leadership during these past 11 years. Will you please all join me in thanking Mark? And Mark, please join me on the stage whenever you're ready. He only has 282 more days to do that, 182? 81.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Debbie. And let me extend my welcome to everyone tonight. You know, we have a saying here that it's a great day to be a Wildcat. There you go. You've got the program. Thank you. And it is, isn't it? Every day really is a great day to be a Wildcat. But I think this evening of distinction, for me at least, is probably the single greatest day of the year to be a Wildcat. And that's because in addition to honoring 4 remarkable individuals and eating some great food and drinking great wine, this evening is about our Wildcat family coming together to celebrate the distinction really of this whole institution. And we do that intergenerationally, bringing together some of our most senior and seasoned alumni with a few of our first-year students, some of whom haven't really finished unpacking probably their suitcases, and folks from all points in between. And it's great seeing all of you together in one place. That's how this place grows and endures, by passing that UNH baton with affection and gratitude from one generation to another. And of course, this is also the eve of our homecoming and family weekend. And I hope you can all make it to the football game in our new stadium, which, as Len pointed out, is a beautiful facility, and visit one of the many receptions and exhibits that we have scattered around on campus for you this weekend. And if tailgating seems a little too hot or a little too boisterous for you, you can sample some of the local brews made by our alums at the Paul College reception, which of course will also feature Peter Paul wines. I guess the marketing people have got you figured out. Now tonight, as I mentioned, we recognize 4 special guests whose belief in UNH is pretty hard to match. But I'll start by adding my congratulations to my friend Len Willey and my friend Jackie McMullen, UNH alum basketball superfan and UNH alum basketball super writer. It's great to have you back, and it's wonderful to honor you tonight. And it is also my honor tonight to announce our other 2 award recipients. Peter T. Paul, who receives the Hubbard Family Award for Service to Philanthropy, and 4-term New Hampshire Governor John Lynch, who receives the Charles Holmes Petty Medal. Congratulations and thank you both. These awards are the highest honors that UNH bestows, and they could not go to 2 more deserving individuals. And soon we're going to see some great videos that highlight the profound impacts that Peter and John have had on this institution, this state, and far beyond. But first, I want to say just a few words. Peter, wherever, I see you, you're sitting over there. Your remarkable generosity has truly transformed this place, and I'm so pleased that I have been around to see it happen. Your gift of the Paul College will shape the lives of students and families for generations to come. You almost took my head off with a champagne saber when we dedicated the building, but it was worth it. I hope that's in the video. One of the things I love about Peter is his pride in his roots. Not just UNH, but his hometown, which if you've ever had even more than a casual conversation with Peter, you'll know is the very small town of Troy, New Hampshire, where his dad was the town doctor. Even the plaque dedicating the Paul College tells visitors about Peter and Troy. So even as his career carried him around the world, Peter never forgot how much it means for a young person from rural New Hampshire to have the opportunity to come to the horizon-expanding University of New Hampshire. You are a true philanthropist, Peter Paul. Thank you so much for all you have done. That's right, that's your dad I'm talking about. And John Lynch, you have achieved tremendous success in your multifaceted career as a business leader, as an educator, and in your many years of service to the Granite State. No matter what challenges you took on or what the demands were on your time, you always remained connected to your alma mater. I remember my first summer here. Bonnie Newman, my immediate predecessor and your great friend, was trying to show me the presidential ropes, and she suggested one day that we drop in and see the governor. I frankly felt a little bit sweaty and intimidated at that prospect, but I went along with Bonnie for the ride. And we showed up at the State House without an appointment, and you could not have been more gracious and more welcoming, although I do think you quizzed me on the state bird and the state flower, purple finch and purple lilac, right? Yeah, okay. Which I had to look up again, by the way. I think you were even wearing your UNH tie that day, although as I think about it, I'm not sure you own another tie than that UNH tie. But that visit for me, with your warmth and your openness and your eagerness to help, was emblematic of the relationship that you've had with this institution ever since you graduated. Thank you for your deep personal commitment to helping the young people of New Hampshire have access to the opportunities that will change their lives by coming to places like this. So John and Peter, let's give John a round of applause too. John and Peter have been key to the success and pride that we celebrate this evening and in the campaign for UNH, the C-150 campaign. They honor us with their dedication. They remind us how important, as Jackie was saying earlier, how important relationships are and how much we can accomplish when we work together. And we are so, so grateful to them. And we will present the Hubbard Award first, but before we do, and I'm going to turn the microphone over in just a second, I was just handed another little folder, which has within it a resolution from the New Hampshire Senate, which recognizes Peter Paul for receiving the Hubbard Award, and it is signed by Senator Dan Innes, who has a particular relationship with Peter Paul. Where's Dan? Recognize Dan. Thank you, Dan, for doing that. I have to say that as president of UNH, this is one of the nicest things I've ever seen from the Senate of the state of New Hampshire. But I'll give this to Peter in just a second. Other than Lou D'Alessandro, who I know is here too. But we have Marcy Carsey, class of 1966, here tonight, who will tell you about the award and the recipient. Marcy is, among many, many other things, a member of the Hubbard Award Selection Committee and the UNH Foundation Emeriti Board. She's a past recipient herself of the Hubbard Award and one of the tri-chairs of the Celebrate 150 campaign. So thank you again, Peter and John, and welcome Marcy Carsey.
Oh, thank you, Mark. It is so great, such a treat to be here tonight and to celebrate these 4 special alumni. And before I talk about Peter Paul, who is our Hubbard Award recipient, we'd like first to award this year's Hubbard Scholarship in Peter's name. We're so pleased tonight to be able to announce that Samantha Galvin is the recipient of the 2017-2018 Hubbard Excellence Prize, which she's receiving in honor of Peter Paul. Samantha is a sophomore from New Rochelle, New York, a presidential scholar with a 3.95 GPA. What is wrong with my children? Sorry. She is also, quite fittingly, a Paul Scholar, majoring in business administration in the Peter T. Paul College of Business and Economics. Samantha, would you please stand to be recognized? Congratulations, that's fantastic. Okay, now on to Peter. The Hubbard Family Award for Service to Philanthropy was established to honor 3 of the university's greatest benefactors, Oliver, Austin, and Leslie Hubbard, members of the UNH classes of 1921, 1925, and 1927. It also honors those who have followed in their philanthropic footsteps. As one of UNH's most passionate supporters, Peter Paul has certainly done that. His generosity helped build our state-of-the-art business college that bears his name. He also established the Peter T. Paul Chair in Space Science and the Dr. Samuel E. Paul Chair in Developmental Psychology in memory of his father, a very well-respected New Hampshire physician who practiced in Troy for nearly 30 years. The impact of these gifts will be felt by students for generations to come. We thank you, Peter, from the bottom of our hearts. Aside from his philanthropy, Peter's business accomplishments are equally impressive. He's the founder and chairman of Headlands Asset Management, and also he's president of Headlands now, and of West Biofuels and Peter Paul Wines, which you're enjoying today. So we all know the factors that, hugely successful business people have, the factors that have shaped their careers. Talent, opportunity, hard work, perseverance. But in Peter's case, there's something else. His partner, Elena, says that both personally and professionally, it's not only that Peter loves what he does, but that he brings boundless optimism to every encounter. He's always curious, always hopeful, Elena says. There's nothing more important to him than his relationships with people. So I've had the pleasure of knowing Peter for lots of years now and of working closely with him on Celebrate 150, the campaign for UNH. I have to say, just speaking personally, Peter set the tone, he raised the bar, he got us all to reach deeper and higher and to just give more than we thought we could. And somehow, Peter, we're all mad at you for that. but no, it was a wonderful beacon. It was an inspiration. It has continued to inspire everybody in the wider UNH community to just, to support this campaign. And it's been a terrific experience working together with him. So I just want to say, he's a great guy. He's an inspirational guy. I'm going to quote him now. He says, you have to think about where you can really have impact when you give. And UNH is that kind of place. So yeah, Peter, you're right. You can have impact, and you did. You're just you're a light leading the way for the rest of us, and we treasure you. Well, it's not only me. I think we should have a video now to hear what others have to say about Peter.
I think the way you describe Peter is he's someone who's driven. He wants to make things happen. He wants to see change, and he wants to have an impact on that change.
I had learned that he was going to put $25 million after having put $10 million into UNH to build this building. I asked Peter why he did that and why he did it now. And Peter said, just very simply to me, well, I could either do it now or my money can do it when I'm dead, and I'd rather enjoy it now.
403.
My experience with Pete is he's always been a leader. He could look beyond the immediate and see into the future as to what the university needed and how you could transform the education of future business leaders in this state and in this region.
The quality of our faculty, the quality of our students, the quality of the learning environment, the quality of everything we do here, including our reputation, has gone up. And Peter Paul and his gift to help us get this done played an enormous role in that process.
Peter T. Paul College of Business and Economics.
I think the thing he cares about most is the students. So he's got this beautiful infrastructure, right? But now he really wants to see the students thrive in terms of their careers and their success. Peter has a brilliant analytical mind. He thinks outside the box. He's challenging. Every time we meet, he's pushing me to make sure that we're taking the college to the next level.
I think for Peter, winning this award is a great achievement. I think it's a distinction that he should be very proud of. I think it's great for the state as well as it is for him and his family.
He is a very engaged philanthropist. I think it's quite unusual with somebody who's given this kind of transformational gift to be so present on campus. He's accessible, he's very open. To me, that's the essence of philanthropy, right? It's good ideas, it's resources to move them forward, and it's a deep commitment to the institution which he expresses on a regular basis.
Peter, we're proud to honor you with this certificate representing the Hubbard Family Award for Service to Philanthropy, the highest honor bestowed by the UNH Foundation. On behalf of the people whose lives you have touched, and all of us who know you and think you're the cat's meow, thank you and congratulations.
Hard act to follow. I don't want to stand between you and another glass of my wine. Debbie, could you come up for a second? When you give a bunch of money, there's taxes and everything, so I just brought something for Debbie. So here's like $1 million payment.
You could zoom in. It's $1 million check.
I owed it to him anyway. And then this is something, tomorrow they open Ham Smith. There's a little family story. There are two murals. There was one that many of you may remember is room 114, and that eventually got chopped up I took history of Civ there and sometime in the 60s. And these are your 1940 WPA murals. There was another one that I think has been walled in for years for some reason. So the building is rebuilt. They probably doubled the size, and these rooms have been redone, and a lot of the old woodwork and stuff has been saved. So I helped restore that. But there's a reason why. George Lloyd was a family friend. They were good friends of my father, and George was an artist, and he, got in the Depression, he got a WPA grant. So this is a little bit of something to help it. And here's something else that I also owe you on something else. So, it's always good to touch the stuff. Wires are so kind of impersonal, right? Yeah. Today, I'd like you to have some fun. I hope my remarks and a few of my stories make you smile. Today, I will try to cover several areas, but have little fear. I will be quick. The areas I'm going to talk about, a little bit about the Hubbards, the wine we're going to have tonight, my approach to philanthropy, a little history about myself and this university, history of the Paul College, how we got it done, because I didn't pay it all, and how do we actually pull this off, and then maybe, just maybe a little surprise. But first, I really want to thank my family for supporting me as I give away a good part of their inheritance. When I received word that I was to receive the Hubbard Award, it was a special honor because I was part of the committee that helped establish this award. Because of this, I know a little of the history of the Hubbards. The Hubbards made a better chicken in 1921, and doing that helped to feed the world. Who knew that Walpole, New Hampshire is the Silicon Valley of poultry? Okay. The Hubbards are a particular breed of New Hampshire citizen, modest, concerned, hardworking, frugal farmers that believe that you leave the woodpile higher than when you found it. The Hubbards were from an older school, a school of upright gentlemen who felt that their wealth was a windfall that wasn't totally earned and therefore wasn't wholly theirs to spend. I also share this view. I remember my father telling me, because we are fortunate, you have an obligation to give back to society. Now to the wine. The wine this evening is special for New Hampshire. You are the first to be having the Live Free or Die Chardonnay. There's a Live Free or Die Pinot that's been out for a while, and I finally brought out, so this is the new packaging, and I think it may be showing up in the state stores now. Remember, the entire quote, and people in this state should know this, the entire quote is live free or die because death is not the worst of evils. So, the other thing is, the state motto is live free or die. It's not just what you get tattooed on your arm when you have a midlife crisis. So, a little about the wine. Both the Pinot Chardonnay are from Sonoma County, French oak aged. I hope you enjoy them. I have more. Just a small plug for the wine. And now to the story of how I became engaged in UNH. Development people, take note. From early on, I would give $100 a year. That was the amount that you needed, in those times to be part of the Ben Thompson list. I did that for many years. I liked seeing my name in the magazine. This is just when you only had print media at this time, right? So at some point, I started giving $1,000. And then sometime in the 90s, for no good reason at all, I sent in $10,000 without any fanfare. At that point, I got noticed. Soon after that, I want to thank her, and she's here tonight. I met with then President Joanne Leisel and young Dawkins, we met at the farm at Stanford. It was a dark and stormy night. Remember, you had to start your freshman history or the paper that way. Well, it was a dark and stormy night. I got lost. I was late and wet. But I got there, and as you see, I have become very engaged with this university. Okay, what is my approach to philanthropy? I like to make a difference. If I could come up with a total cure for cancer, I would do it. But I cannot make a real difference in that fight, so I do other things. You could look to me as an active investor. I look for strategic points to invest to make a difference. Backing the Paul College was one of my best investments. I can and will take chances. It's my money. I can afford to accept a mistake. I am willing, for example, to fund first-stage research. Private capital is able to take risks that are difficult or impossible for public capital. Public capital, by its nature, is risk-averse. I am a philanthropist who acts as an entrepreneurial investor. I enjoy doing this, and I have fun supporting UNH and others. I'm a big fan of current use dollars. I will do most of my giving when I can see what is happening to my investment. A friend of mine once said, it's hard enough to manage today. Think how hard it is to manage when you're dead. Yeah, thank you, Jimmy Baldini. Okay, so how do we do this $25 million challenge? I'll give you a little bit of history. It was 2008. I made a $25 million challenge. There's a little history to that. We've been talking about this for a little while. But why did I do that? First, there was a need. The building that they had was not built for today's collaborative learning. The school was well run. I mean, they had a surplus, and they had, put together some money, but not $50 million. And it wasn't going to happen at the time. It was pretty high on the dean's and Mark's wish list. The university and management wanted a building. I mean, it's hard to force somebody to take, you kind of want to go with what's right. So, plus, they had made an investment and had a plan, invested in architecture and things. So, here's how we did it. 25 for me, about 10 from reserves, about 10 from other people, and maybe 10 from internal borrowing. It doesn't sum out quite. I'm not sure if we had to pay for burying the street, Mark, and repaving the street and burying the power lines, but it kind of doesn't. It all worked out. Doesn't matter any longer. We should maybe do the accounting some, but 2 more payments and we're done. Okay. Sometimes you need to act. I did it over dinner in Boston with Dan and Mark. I committed, and hey, it worked. So, and now, 10 years have happened. Time flies. And just for a little diversion, we'll just talk a little bit about aging and time. Do you realize that the only time in our lives that we like to get old is when we're kids? If you're less than 10, you're so excited about aging, you think in fractions. How old are you? I'm 4.5. You're never 37.5. You're 4.5 going on 5. Now you get into your teens. Now they can't hold you back. You jump to the next number, or even a few numbers ahead. How old are you? I'm gonna be 16. You could be 13, but yes, you will be 16 at some time. And then the greatest day of your life comes. You become 21. Even the words sound like a ceremony. You become 21. But then you turn 30. Oops, what happened? Makes you sound like bad milk. He turned. Do we have to throw him out? There's no fun now. We're just a sour dumpling. What's wrong? What's changed? You become 21, turn 30, pushing 40. Whoa, put on the brakes. It's all slipping away. Before you know it, you reach 50 and your dreams are gone. But wait, you make it to 60. You didn't think you would. So, repeating, you become 21, turn 30, push 40, reach 50, make it to 60. You've picked up such a head of steam that you hit 70. And after that, it's a day by thing. You hit Wednesday. And you get into your 80s. Every day is a complete cycle. You hit lunch. You turn 4:30, and you reach bedtime. Into the 90s, you start going backwards. I just was 92. And then a strange thing happens if you make it over 100. You become a kid again. I am 100.5. And always remember, life is not about the number of breaths you take, but the moments that leave you breathless. All right. So that's a little reflection because it's 10 years before we began that. So in 2008, we announced the challenge. We scrambled around. We got it there. And just remember, I'm a finance mortgage guy. 2008 was not the best year. I mean, yeah. But we got through that. So what happened? In May of 11, there's a picture, we broke ground. And yes, there wasn't much ground. We imported the sand. It was all granite. Thank you, Mark. There was a lot of blasting. You lived by this and didn't complain much, except the day that they let me do it. I think then you left town that day. Wise too. All right. In January of 13, the faculty moved in. Later that semester, we moved some of the students in. And last year, the class of 17 was the first class that only knew the new building. Soon, only faculty and older alumni like me remember another place. In closing, I'm going to quote remarks that I remember from my economics professor from sometime in the 60s. A little story of economics and how two cows fare under various economic systems. Just remember, it's the business school, so socialism, the government takes your two cows, it gives one to your neighbor, and it gives one back to you. Okay, communism, the government takes your two cows, makes you stand in line for the milk, which is now turned bad. Fascism, you keep the cows, but give the milk to the government that then sells it back to you. Nazism, not so good. Takes your two cows, shoots you. New Dealism, the government takes half the milk and throws it away. Now capitalism, you take one of your cows, you sell it, you buy a bull, and that, my friends, is the start of capital formation. Remember, America's a great country, and capitalism works. Just to conclude, a very wise rabbi once told me that wine is a gift from God. However, there's a catch. For the wine to be good requires the labor of man. I hope you have enjoyed tonight what I labored to produce. There is also another line, that wine is proof that God loves you and wants us to be happy. Now, I'm going to conclude with a surprise and maybe a new tradition. Oh, what did they leave for me? Aha! A saber. And they made me a backdrop, so let's see. I think this is all about a celebration. So let's see. Should I try? Yeah. All right. Let's see if it works. It generally works, but, it has failed at times. So, see, if you were with Napoleon and you were coming back when he was winning, not when he went to Russia. I mean, one of the better times. I mean, the cavalry officer that would pick up somebody that would leap on their arm with a bottle of champagne, and you take your saber out and knock the top off the champagne, and that would be the beginning of, a pleasant afternoon. So here we go. Let's see what happens. So take this. And for those, find a drink because it's pressure, whatever glass just got blown away. Thank you very much. It's a great honor to be here.
That was absolutely amazing, as always. And it's been my absolute pleasure and privilege to work with Peter in helping to implement his vision to move UNH forward. And I think you all heard that it is absolutely about moving UNH forward. So now it's my pleasure to welcome Jennifer Higgins-Petrie, class of 1995, who will present the Charles Holmes Petty Medal Award. Jennifer is the chair of the UNH Alumni Recognition Committee and a member of the Alumni Association Board of Directors. Please welcome Jennifer.
Thank you, Debbie, and good evening, everyone. It's my personal honor to present this next award. The Charles Holmes Petty Medal, the highest award given by the UNH Alumni Association, honors devotion to service as demonstrated by the late Charles Holmes Petty, a professor and dean whose UNH career spanned 62 years. As a four-term governor for the great state of New Hampshire, From 2005 to 2013, Governor John Lynch's dedication to the Granite State clearly runs deep. During his tenure, Governor Lynch fought to reduce New Hampshire's dropout rate by supporting efforts to raise the compulsory education age from 16 to 18. Governor Lynch consistently ranked among the nation's most popular governors. Since returning to private life, Governor Lynch has been a clinical professor at the Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth College and was the school's 2013 Perkins Bass Distinguished Visitor at the Nelson A. Rockefeller Center. Previously, he was Director of Admissions and then Associate Dean at the Harvard Business School. A former business consultant, he was also CEO of Knoll Inc., turning the national furniture manufacturer's losses of $50 million per year into sales of $1.2 billion with profits of $240 million. It's pretty impressive. But Governor Lynch will tell you that his crowning achievement was coaching his 3 children in soccer, ice hockey, baseball, and softball. In fact, he has said about that role, and I quote, "If you asked me to give up being governor or coaching my kids, it would have been an easy decision. Coaching my kids is a highlight of my life." Now let's hear from some of his friends and family.
If there was one word that describes John Lynch, it's extraordinary. He is one of the kindest people I've ever met.
He just has such a deep love for New Hampshire and for the people here. Every choice, every decision he made was with their interests first. It's something I've always admired about him.
There is nobody that tops Governor Lynch when it comes to leadership and his ability to think, act, make decisions under fire. What did he have? 73% approval rating? No governor leaves office with a 73% approval rating.
When it comes to New Hampshire, my father, in a way, grew up here. He went to University of New Hampshire, and that's where he really found himself. He really realized who he was. He had to work 3 jobs to pay for undergrad, to pay for Harvard Business School, to pay for Georgetown Law. That gave him that, confidence in himself and that conviction and that integrity that everyone in New Hampshire knows him for.
John cares deeply about what's right and what's fair, whether it's his service to the University of New Hampshire board or to his remarkable practice at Knoll, where he served as CEO for many years prior to becoming governor.
With Knoll, he took a company that was losing millions to a hugely profitable company, and one of his main concerns wasn't just making money in that company, but was taking care of the employees that worked there.
Executives typically do not walk through the floor, walk through the shop and talk to hourly people. I mean, they're just not going to do that. He did that regularly. John Lynch was so unique in the fact that he cared about all of the people. So whenever a decision was made, it was, well, what will the hourly people think about this?
He cut programs that were giving money to executives, and he funded it right back into the people that actually made those products. And it definitely transferred into how he ran New Hampshire when he was governor. He always put the people first. It's amazing. I don't know how he did it. And luckily I've been able to, discuss this with him. Every night before he goes to bed, he asks himself, how was I able to make someone else's life just a little bit better today? And he truly believes that.
John, I couldn't be prouder of you. You have distinguished yourself as a leader, governor, businessman, teacher, and friend.
I can't think of anybody more deserving. He gave every ounce of energy he had to this state in 8 years, that he served as governor.
I don't think if you asked him, he would say that he's made X amount of contributions or he's helped in this way. I think he would just kind of smile and say that he loved every day that he was governor. If he can spend 16 hours driving all over New Hampshire meeting people, that's a great day for him, and he misses it more than ever.
He still does a lot of work for the state, and I'm thinking that if we try hard enough, we can convince him that he really misses it and we get him back into government service somehow.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to present to you the Honorable John Lynch. Governor Lynch, on behalf of the UNH Alumni Association and the entire University of New Hampshire, we thank you and proudly bestow on you the Charles Holmes Petty Medal for your extraordinary service to New Hampshire and the entire country.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for your support of the University of New Hampshire. This award means a lot to me, a great deal, and I appreciate it so much. And Mark Huddleston, thank you for all that you have done. You know, Mark is the longest-serving president UNH has ever had. Pretty remarkable. So looking at that video, I think Mark was right. I think I only wear UNH ties. And Mark, I'm not going to ask you what the state fruit is. Very good, he knew it was the pumpkin. I am so impressed. So, it's September of 1970, and my mother drives me up to Durham, drops me off in front of Hunter Hall, and I walk into my room where my roommates were already there. I was in a buildup, so a room meant for two. There were three of us, and Mark, I did not see any reduction in dorm rent. I don't think that happens. So anyway, my first roommate was a self-described hippie. So he stayed out until 4 o'clock in the morning every single night. I don't know what he was doing until 4. Down Under was closed by then, right, Ryan? So he would stay out till 4 and then come in. My other roommate was a self-described redneck hunter. And he would leave at 4 in the morning and go hunting. So here I am, I'm somewhere in the middle. And my job was to keep peace with everybody in the room, which was great training for being governor of the state of New Hampshire. The first week, I was out playing touch football on the front lawn outside of Hunter, and somebody's head, and I don't want Ken Moulton to start laughing and Jackie to start laughing, somebody's head ran right into my upper lip, and I got 8 stitches. That looked awful. So here I am trying to get out and meet people with the 8 black stitches on my upper lip. So the way I would do it is I'd say, well, very nice to meet you. So it was not a very auspicious start for me. I left Hunter and did the stint at Stoke Hall, which I think back then, Mark, was a requirement for graduation. You had to spend time at Stoke Hall. Then I went to SCA fraternity, and I took every job I possibly could find because I had no money. One of my jobs was I was in charge of washing the pots and pans. And there's nothing more humbling than having to wash one of these big vats, which you can crawl inside of, which the cook has used to cook, overcook mashed potato. So imagine doing that, climbing in and trying to clean the mashed potato off the sides of the inner vat. Another great experience in preparation for being governor of the state of New Hampshire. I really thought the education I received at UNH was excellent, outstanding. And I remember the professors. I had Don Murray and Andy Merton and Bob Hapgood. I was an English major. And I think the preparation I got at UNH really allowed me to then go on to have a career in business. And I'm absolutely convinced that if I hadn't gone to UNH, I never would have become governor of the state of New Hampshire. And Hayden, thank you for your kind words. Hayden's right. I did enjoy being governor of the state of New Hampshire. Probably the experience I enjoyed the most was saying hi to 4th graders who regularly toured the State House as part of their fourth grade educational experience. I would leave whatever meeting I was in and go say hi to the fourth graders. The fourth graders were always open and honest and candid with me, and always kept me right in my place as governor. I had one fourth grader come in and met with him, and he had a camera with him, one of these old-fashioned cameras with film. They're not used these days. So he had a camera with film in it, and 2 weeks later, I got a letter from the same fourth grade boy. And he obviously had given it a lot of thought because he wrote it with perfectly crafted penmanship. And he wrote, "Dear Governor John Lynch, thank you for taking the time to meet with my class." He further wrote, "I was going to take your picture, but I decided to save the film." So I actually framed that letter and put it up in my office as governor, and that always sort of kept me with the right perspective. But again, going back to UNH, I immersed myself in all kinds of activities. I was in freshman camp. I actually succeeded Mike Hickey as spirit leader of freshman camp. Was involved in the Judicial Review Committee, intramurals. I wasn't good enough to play hockey for the varsity team, but I managed to play for our intramural team. And as I said, I came away absolutely loving UNH. Ryan and I were talking earlier in intermission, and we both think it was kind of like being with family. And that's what it was. The friends that you develop, the relationship, that's what really matters. Relationships with your colleagues and relationships with the professors. And these are relationships that will last with us for the rest of our lives, and ones that make a real difference to us. So I'd like to say that UNH was the most important influence in my life, but it wasn't. So now I have to tell you a story. In high school, my wife Susan and I met while working at Friendly Ice Cream. You're supposed to say, "Oh." So we knew each other for a number of years, and we're just good friends. And then we went to a wedding. We went to a wedding of friends who also had met at Friendly Ice Cream. And we were in the bridal party, matched up together, and during the reception, I caught the garter, Susan caught the bouquet. I kissed her for the first time that night, obviously after asking her permission to do so. And we got married a couple years later. And just this past June, we celebrated our 40th anniversary. So Susan has been the biggest influence in my life. She has been my rock, she's had my back, and she's stuck with me during good times and bad times. And it was actually Susan, along with our family, who came to the conclusion that I should run for governor before I came to that conclusion. And they persuaded me to do that. So Susan, thank you for all you've done for me. And our children have always been there for us as well. Jackie, Julia, Hayden, who did the video, who's here tonight. What is a great source of pleasure for both Susan and me is our kids grow up, and they not only are our children, they become our friends. And I think I can speak for Susan and me that Hayden and Jackie and Julia are our best friends. And that's so special for both of us. And if somebody were to ask me, you can do one thing tomorrow afternoon, what would you do? Hayden knows this. I'd go play catch with Hayden, because that's what we did all the years that he was growing up. And it's not only our family, it's our friends. Rachel, thank you so much for your kind words. We have a lot of friends here tonight. You know what? I don't think there's anything better that we can do than to spend time with people we like, whether it's family or friends. So again, let me say thank you all for being here, and thank you to UNH for all University of New Hampshire has done for me. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wow. This has been an absolutely incredible night, and celebrating this level of commitment to the university, to the state, to the relationships, I think that was a common theme throughout, really gives, I think, all of us a sense that UNH's future is in good hands. So we're going to say goodnight now, and thank you to all of you for being with us to celebrate this amazing night together. We're going to have a performance of the alma mater. We hope you'll sing along by our own Alabaster Blue. Thank you all.
Sons and daughters.